Welcome to another episode of Band Director Bootcamp, the podcast with productivity and wellness tips for busy band directors. I'm your host, Lesley Moffat, and I'm really grateful to be sharing this platform with you. As busy band directors, we know you don't have time to sit and watch lengthy professional development webinars, so we share 20-minute tidbits that you can have takeaways to use to support you with professional longevity and a healthier lifestyle. And nobody can get healthy if they don't have time. And today I got people that are going to help you save some time and some other stuff. So I've got, you guys get 2 for 1 today out there. We're going to talk to Cassie and Michael Tucker. They used to teach band together for a long time in Arkansas in the same school district. I don't know what happened. Maybe there's a story back there we should hear about too, but not today, not for another day. But they're both here to talk to us today about some stuff that they have done that help them save time and find resources so they could do teaching. And so things become a lot easier, reducing and eliminating decision making. Any of you out there have decision making fatigue? I know I do. And if I could do less decision making on the nonsense stuff and I could spend more time teaching, that would be great. They're going to talk to us about how that helps them, how you can focus more on teaching and problem solving and let some of the behind the scenes stuff start to become more automated and easier for you to handle and more consistent, and help you with their people that are using the app are saying all the time is they're feeling so much more organized and they have more control over their agendas and lesson plans because they've been able to use this app to really become a tool to help anchor things for them. So they're going to tell us a little bit about this today so that those of you who are struggling maybe with organization or decision-making fatigue or any of those things might be able to find something that could be a big, huge help to you today. So Cassie and Michael, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Good to be here.
So we're going to talk about Lesson Launchpad in a second, but I'm curious as to why you just decided to develop this. What was going on in life that you thought, well, this would be fun?
Well, so yeah, I was a band director and I always kind of wanted something. I had an idea for something that I could use to present my agendas, my announcements, all of that. But I wanted it to be more than just that. I wanted it to have some productivity tools built in. And so I tried to get away with like a Google, I actually created a Google Pages website that kind of did a lot of stuff, but it didn't look great. It wasn't everything I wanted it to be. And so anyways, eventually I had the idea for this and set out to create it. So Cassie, why don't you talk about...
I was going to say, did you create it as a tool for specific things that were hard for you, or like were you struggling with certain things?
So one of the biggest things is, when I taught at the middle school, at least, it was like back-to-back classes every day, all the time. No time in between classes, and what time there was. Kids were coming up to me with broken instruments or bloody noses, or
they needed a read. They had T-shirt money.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. And so I was like, I wonder if I could automate my agenda. What if PowerPoint could just change for me at specific times, And I was like, I don't think PowerPoint can do that. Google Slides? No. And, I always wanted, as well as my students to be, in their seats by certain times after the bell. And so there were timers that I could use on YouTube maybe, but that wasn't great.
But you had to be the person to start the timer. And so
yes, and go between the windows.
All of these fires and you wanted to log into the computer and get all your stuff up on the screen. That sometimes is not an option in real life, especially when you do teach middle school or if you share the classroom with other teachers, which was my experience. Mm-hmm. Our district employed about 8 band directors, and we were so lucky to be able to have every band director teach their primary instrument for beginners. But we rotated out of the same 2 rooms in the middle school. And so my room was not my room. It was everyone's room. And so if I wanted to be ready for a class and I wanted to have my lesson plan up on the board, I wanted to have my bell work on the board, I wanted to have my timers going, I did not have time to physically go into my band room before class to do that. So that's Michael had this idea for his class. It would solve a lot of problems with my class. but we didn't have the skills to make it happen until Michael ended up deciding to leave teaching, and he decided to become a software engineer. And so after making that change, one day he said, I think I have the skills
I think I
to
can
make
do
this happen now.
Let's see.
And here we are.
So tell me, what a teacher, what would this Launchpad look like in a classroom setting? How would they use it?
Sure. So, it's a web app. It runs right in your browser, so there's nothing to download, or you don't have to get approval from any tech person or anything like that. The internet filters at your school aren't going to block it. But what it is it's basically, if you present stuff on the screen, or let's say even if you don't, maybe you write your agenda on the whiteboard every day, and then the next teacher comes in and erases
it, and it's
gone. So basically what this is it runs right in your computer, and you would use this to project onto, your smart board, or your screen, or wherever you do that sort of thing, or your wall, whatever you have. And basically, it's going to look like your class. It's going to have maybe your agenda on there. Maybe it's got your class notes on there.
Has your announcements for the day. It has upcoming performances. But the best part about all of this is it's in one place. So if I'm using Lesson Launchpad, I can have my announcements. I can have my lesson plan. I can have my agenda for class. I can have how much time we're going to spend on the warm up today. I can have a list of things that the kids need for class today. I can have all of that on the board in one place. I physically do not have to go and change Google Slides or write anything up on the board. It's all there for me. And it also has some built-in productivity tools as well.
So talk to us about like that whole, it comes up automatic, like for you, because
Sure.
You're busy between classes. How would that happen?
Yeah, exactly. So, with a PowerPoint or a Google Slides or whatever, you're going to have to physically go over and change to that class. Well, with Lesson Launchpad, if you put in the start time for your class, it's going to automatically transition to that class at the time that you've put in as the start time. So I tell most people to put in the start time actually at the bell, the end of class bell for the previous class. So that way it automatically,
as kids come in, they can see.
So that way they already see what's going on. So yeah, that's one of the automation features that, I think people find most useful, is just that simple, not having to go over to the computer and click to the next class. That it's, once again, it's one less thing to think about and have to deal with. And it's funny when I switched to the private sector here out of band directing, I was like, man, I made like one decision today. Whereas as a teacher, it was like, I made like 1,000 decisions every day.
In first period.
Yeah, exactly. So as a teacher, the ability to remove even one decision from your day, can definitely have a benefit toward you. So
well, and some consistency when you've got something like this, where as a teacher, your same spaces, each day I'm going to make sure these things are up there and I don't have to think about it, or I can see where I left off yesterday really easily. And
exactly.
And you were saying, Cassie, about preloading, basically. Go ahead and talk about that.
Sure. So, Lesson Launchpad is not just something that you can use one day at a time. Now, if that's the way that you prefer to do things, where you get to school early in the morning and you put your lesson in for just that day for your classes, go for it. But if you are somebody who wants to be able to sit down, plan your week out, and not even think about it after that, you can do that. So you can preload all of your days. We actually have a user right now who's preloading her entire year with, I don't know how someone can plan, but she's putting in all of her school holidays. She is planning so far in advance. And she can do that because Lesson Launchpad allows you to preload your lessons, preload your agendas, that sort of thing, so that it's one less thing for you to think about during the week. It's kind of like, I'm sure you talk about this a lot. It's kind of like meal prepping, right? Where you spend a little bit of time on Sunday making your meals for the week, and you do not have to think about what you're going to eat. You don't have to spend time cooking it during the week. This is kind of like that.
You've saved money and you're eating healthier. Oh, this is right up my alley. Let's keep going. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's investing time in learning your scales, right? So that later you don't have to think about those
Exactly. So this is the same idea here, where you can plan ahead, and Lesson Launchpad is just going to do it for you during the week. If you plug in those times, if you plug in the days and the content that you need on those days, you don't have to think about it.
So if you had a sub, could the sub access it and just have that automatically up there?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
that'd be cool too, wouldn't it?
It would be cool, actually. Now there are. We actually haven't thought about that, so that's great.
I'm thinking of sub mode right now.
Probably don't want them to be able to change
a guest log in to view only on sub days or something, because boy, it'd be nice not to have, because when I do it now, I use Canva for everything, and I have my templates and all that. But when I have a sub, I got to go download those pages, turn them into a PDF, and blah blah. It's a pain in the butt.
Right.
So, yeah. There you go.
Taking notes.
Glad I could add to your to-do list.
That actually speaks a lot to, the way that we operate right now. Is we are former teachers. Michael is the sole programmer. And so, number one, we made this because we had these issues, right? That this could fix in our classrooms. Number two, we want to help people who are still in the profession, right? It's not just for us, right? So we want to hear ideas. We want to hear what would help you. And again, Michael's the sole programmer. We don't have to go ask anybody for permission to make changes or to make something better. If we say, hey, that's a great idea, we can look into how to implement it.
I love that, because so often it's so faceless. I mean, you forget that those are real people behind these things, and it's really cool to hear your response when I say something.
It's funny. I'll get emails from people, and clearly they think they're talking to a big corporation or something, and I'm like, hi, it's me, the founder.
Ooh, I got the big guy right off the beginning. They're all excited.
It's like, yes, I can make that happen for you. And in fact, I can probably make it happen for you by tomorrow. So,
well, that's what, I mean, that's awesome, because when there's needs out here and people listen, it can help with that. Oh my goodness, that's great. Before we wrap things up, and I'm going to have you share another feature or two, just so people can get more and more of an idea of this, I just want to take a moment to thank our sponsor, the Empowered Music Educator Academy, where they help busy band directors create successful programs, build supportive communities, and feel freaking amazing by providing productivity and wellness tips that I can't even speak today, support professional longevity and a healthy life.
You're listening to the Band Director Boot Camp podcast, brought to you by the Empowered Music Educator Academy. At the Academy, we're dedicated to supporting busy band directors like you with practical productivity and wellness strategies. Whether it's through our books, coaching sessions, or GPTs designed specifically for band directors, we've got everything you need to lead a successful music program without burning out. Let us help you achieve excellence in your work without working around the clock.
We are back with Cassie and Michael Tucker, who are the founders of Lesson Launchpad, a program they've created together to really support and help band directors, probably orchestra directors and choir teachers too, do a lot of the things that just are kind of a pain in the ass to do a whole lot easier, for ease and all those things. So in the couple of minutes we have left, tell us a little bit about, like, you have a success story from somebody, or somebody, like you were talking earlier about how people just are feeling so much more organized and in control, because band directors are all control freaks. I mean, right? And if you can help us do that and be in control without all the stress that goes with it, that's pretty awesome. So yeah, any other features of it or?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's funny. I designed this for band directors, but honestly, probably 90% of our users are just regular classroom teachers. And really? I've been shocked by that. Because I wasn't sure, like, are they going to want this? Do they, and sure enough, they're out there. Like, for example, our clock that's on the screen, you can now set to French. Because I had a French teacher say, hey, I want my students to be looking at the clock and the date in French. So I was like, all right, I'll do it.
Nice.
But yeah, the success stories, it's funny. I have a full-time job. Like, this is not my full-time job. I do this part-time. And so a lot of the time it's literally, I'm sitting here at midnight coding stuff, in a dark room or whatever. And I'm like, I know people are signing up for it, and I'm pretty sure, they're using it and stuff. And then we go out to an event, like we went 2 weeks ago to the Texas Bandmasters Association conference, and all of these people came up and they were like, hey, I just wanted to tell you, I love this. This is so great. I used it last year, and it was, I don't get emotional about a lot of things. But, the amount of people that were coming up to me and telling me how much they loved it and how much... how much.
And they were specific about the things that they love. They were like, one of my favorite things is this automated, scroll bar that I can put my announcements on. My kids see the announcements all class. I never have to repeat myself. They can stay up throughout class, and you can, again, with the programming and the setting things out in advance, you can put your announcements in for the entire week. So
you could even write watch the key signature in between the announcements, so it scrolls by and reminds you every so often.
Absolutely. Or you could put up a quote, that says, I made a little sample class and I said, someone out there is practicing more than you, don't let them. And people are like, oh, I need to put something like that up on my, but it's things like that. They're very specific about, I love the fact that the announcements are going. I love the fact that I can set my timers for my kids to be in their seat. I don't have to be the one to enforce that anymore. My board is doing it for me. Lesson Launchpad is doing it for me. I can be more organized, more in control. I can keep myself on track when I'm, teaching, when I'm directing. I'm not going to get stuck in the weeds. We had so many people at TBA say, oh my gosh, I need this for me, because I get stuck in the weeds. I get bogged down with things that need work. I can't move on. But if you've got an agenda on the board behind you that's literally counting down the amount of minutes that you said, we're going to spend 10 minutes on this today, and then we are moving on, then the kids, number one, the kids are going to say, hey, it's time to move on, but you're going to be able to see that as well. That kind of stuff, again, they're very specific about what they like and how it's helped them. And so we love hearing those success stories, because again, it's stuff that we saw ourselves using or needing to use.
Yeah. And so it helps teachers. It helps the classroom atmosphere, the organization piece. I see so many benefits to something like this.
A lot of things, and I think we mentioned this earlier, there's so many things that teachers are using to help them in their classrooms, right? And there's so many things that you can get on the internet from lots of different places for free, right? You can get a name randomizer, you can get timers, you can get, a Google Slides, whatever, right? But one of the great things about Lesson Launchpad is that you can have all of that in one place. You do not have to spend your time or energy sourcing those things. You don't have to have a million tabs up on your computer so that you can find the right thing. And then you go up during class and say, oh, we're going to do this. But you click on 5 wrong tabs before you get to the right tab. And the kids are off track, and then they're talking, and now you feel like a failure. I'm not speaking from personal experience or anything, okay? There's a little bit of passion in that, right?
A little bit of trauma there.
But really, though, you don't, it frees up, number one, it frees up your time, right? And it frees up your energy and decision-making, not only when you are planning, but also in the classroom, which in turn, the less brain power you have to use on this kind of stuff during the day, number one, you're going to be less tired at the end of the day, less mental fatigue, right? Number two, you are going to feel better about the job that you are doing, because you have all of this lined up and ready to go. And then number three, you're going to be able to spend more time outside of class, not planning ahead, not trying to source all of this other stuff. It's already there for you.
Yes. I started teaching in 1988, and I had a lesson plan book that was spiral bound, where we hand wrote everything, and then a piece of chalk on a chalkboard. It's come a long way since then. Holy crap. If somebody had told me about this back then, I'd have been like, what are you even talking about? That doesn't even make sense. And now it's just
there are computers in in the school.
Yeah, well, not back in the olden days, there weren't. So this is fantastic. And I know so many of us out there just need less to worry about so that we can do important things. And this is a super amazing tool for this. Tell us where we can find out more online, or where would we find you?
Sure. So the website is just www.lessonlaunchpad.com. There's a landing page there. It shows you a lot of the features. But honestly, I'm adding features so quickly that the landing page a lot of the time is a little bit behind. Like I literally just added a PowerPoint box last night where now you can easily get your PowerPoint presentations in the Lesson Launchpad. Awesome. But yeah, you can find out more information there. And one of the things that I think you'll see on there that's another kind of wow thing when people see it is it's just $3 a month. We give a 30-day free trial. You don't have to put in any credit card information or anything like that. You can try it for 30 days. And if you don't like it, you're not going to automatically get charged for anything. But if you do like it, once again, it's $3 a month or $30 for the whole year. So most people have told us how affordable that is.
Even on a teacher salary.
Like, you keep telling me that I'm going to have to raise the price, but
so grab it while you can, you guys. Check this out. This is pretty cool sounding, and these are real people behind it. And so if you find that you think of something, they seem like they genuinely want to make it super user friendly. So that's always exciting for me, is to get to see that. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us today about Lesson Launchpad. Really appreciate you being here. And to all you listeners, thanks for being here and making a difference in kids' lives every day through the magic of music education. The work you do matters, and so do you. Join us next time on Band Director Bootcamp for another episode of productivity and wellness tips to make your life a little easier.